俺の財宝か？欲しけりゃくれてやる。探せ！この世の全てをそこに置いてきた。
Yo guys, and welcome to this new video. So the new One Piece Stampede teaser trailer is out, containing not only info allowing to understand a lot more about the major points of its plot, but also surprisingly hints about the bounties of some major characters of the manga. But before seeing all of that in detail, let me say that I publish new videos every week, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to always know when I upload something new. Alright, with that said, let's jump straight into it. So the first thing to discuss about is the meeting between Barret and Festa, which obviously is the starting point for all the events of the movie. And it's interesting to notice how apparently it's the demon heir to propose his plan to the man called the Master of Festivities. And since a man presented also as war instigator clearly has very specific interests and capabilities, the fact Ballet searched for the help of such a unique person suggests the two of them may know each other at least well enough to understand the extent of each other's abilities. But then the question becomes, where does this knowledge come from? And even if we know too little about these two characters to make definitive conclusions, considering that the meeting place seems to be Festa's Cove and it's full of different bounty posters, even in multiple copies, my idea is that it's not so unlikely to think, among all the other things, Festa is also a bounty hunter. And since we know Ballet was caught by the Marines and imprisoned in the 6th level of Impel Down, it's possible the two know each other because Festa was somehow involved in the capture of the former member of the Roger Pirates. And focusing a moment on the bounties on that wall, among those referring to other movie characters, those of people relevant in previous moments of the plot, like Dory, Caesar, Bellamy, Pecoms, Bentham, Foxy and Ace, and that of Pandaman, we can see not only all the bounties of the worst generation, included all the Mugiwaras, but also all the Shichibukai and even some Yonko crew members. And even if the important ones we don't know yet are all partially erased, looking carefully at the numbers left, it's still possible to guess at least how many figures the bounty has. Indeed, since the bounty posters have all the same dimension, when a bounty has more digits, those are of course smaller, and the difference is kinda evident. For example, in San Juan Wolf's case, if we compare the position and dimension of the 6 zeros left with other known bounties, the impression is that the true number has only 9 figures, meaning that the giant has a bounty below 1 billion berry. And even if this leaves a wide range of possibilities, it is also an undeniably important piece of information, especially considering that for how the multiple copies of Lafitte bounties are instead either covered or almost completely erased, the tiny pieces of two numbers left on one of them give the impression on the Demon's Sheriff poster there's a 10 figures number, which corresponds to a bounty above 1 billion berry. The same impression is given also by the 3 digits left in Marcos and Ben Beckman's bounties, while for what concerns respectively the 3 and 4 zeros left in Lucky Roos and Mihawk's bounties, the impression is that of a 9 figures number. And while this was kinda expected for Takanome's Frozen Reward, the case of Shanks' crewmate is kinda surprising. And talking about the emperors, it's interesting to see how, apart from a couple of Whitebeard's and Shanks' commanders, the whole is totally monopolized by Teach. and there's not even a single poster belonging to the Big Mom Pirates or the Beast Pirates. And this supports the idea, which we will see in a moment, that Festa's and Ballet's target is the so-called worst generation. To conclude this discussion about that wall, it's also possible to see Rayleigh's bounty poster. However, it's too small to try to guess the number of digits of his rewards from the 2 zeros left, but if I had to gamble, I would bet on 10 figures. In any case, returning to the trailer, Ballet's plan seems clear, with the Master of Festivities organizing a festival around a mysterious Roger treasure, most likely provided by Ballet himself, to lure famous pirates of the New World that for some reason apparently the Demon Heir wants to destroy. In particular, it seems their main targets are the members of the so-called Worst Generation, which may clarify Ballet's motives as a combination of his will to dominate the New Age and his resentment towards a new generation he doesn't consider worthy of his captain's inheritance. In any case, as always when talking about One Piece, I expect him to have a very complex characterization, revolving around his meeting and relationship with Roger. For what concerns instead Festa's goal, even if a direct conclusion of what we said at the beginning is that he will get the bounties of the supernovas, the rest of the trailer and the knowledge of how One Piece characters are generally structured make it obvious he has his own ambitions too. Indeed, during the trailer is shown a scene where he says, "This is my new age," which, considering his kinda weird profession of war instigator, probably doesn't mean he wants to control the new age, but just that he wants to cause a big change in the world, something that would be an obvious consequence of the fall of the worst generation. In this context, the involvement of the Marines, that of course wouldn't miss such a great assembly of pirates, apparently is divided instead in 3 different approaches. The first is Smokers, who, remaining loyal to his character and following his White Hunter nose, disguises himself and investigates the rather suspicious festival. The second is Fugitoras, that, even if clearly different from the previous and the next, didn't reveal enough elements to be defined. And the third is Sakatsuki's, who at a certain point of the movie will order a buster call on the island where the festival is held. So, combining these considerations with all the images we see in the trailer, we can imagine the plot will go pretty much like this. First, we will see the pirates gather at the island of the festival, including the Mugiwaras, which by the way continue to exclude the Jinbe, the Supernovas, Cavendish, Bartolomeo, Buggy, Smoker, Tashigi, and maybe also Fujitora and others not shown in the trailer, like Crocodile and Foxy. From this group we will for now exclude both the characters that are either too strong or too relevant for the One Piece main plot to be directly involved, like Kizaru, Akainu, Garp, Sengoku, Mihawk and Teach, and those who will most likely join the party later in the movie, like Kobe, Helmeppo, Hina, Sentomaru, who will all probably be on the Buster Call ships, Sabo, Koala and Lucci. This gathering phase will be probably focused on giving a general view of the festival, and it will most likely continue into the presentation, description and beginning of the Roger Treasure's hunt, with the passage between these 2 phases signed by Law being attacked and Smoker starting to realize there's something going on under the surface of the festival. Following this reasoning, then there will be the part dedicated to the hunt, probably featuring also the 2 short fights shown in the trailer between Smoker and Sanji and Zoro and Fujitora. And I think it will be in this phase that the events will start to escalate towards the final climax of the movie, with this change of rhythm most likely signed by the mysterious Denden Mushi Cole we see trailer. After that, Ballet and Festa may be hidden in the underground of the island until that moment will start to have an active role against the protagonists. It's safe to assume this phase will also include the first fight between the Demon Heir and Luffy's Bound Man shown in the previous teaser. And since between the moment of their first meeting and the scenario of the final fight there's a clear change of landscape, which in the second case is obviously devastated, we can deduce it was somewhere in between that Akainu ordered the Buster Call. This gap between the two situations would also explain how Luffy could have the opportunity to recover his Haki in order to use the Gear 4th again, this time in Snake Man version. By the way, it was this specific moment that made me really appreciate the trailer and truly look forward to the movie. Indeed, in this phase of the series, where Luffy is facing the strongest beings in the One Piece world, and where people, forgetting the ideals this manga is basing on, are starting to think he needs to become the strongest to be the Pirate King, when Ballet states exactly that, Luffy answers, "That is not what the Pirate King is." Which is exactly what I continued to repeat to people when the matter was brought up, and that I'm very proud to say confirms the way I always thought Luffy should be interpreted. But without going into the details of the matter, which I will treat specifically whenever I will make the meaning of Luffy video, returning to the trailer, in my opinion, the Snake Man battle will happen just before the Dream Team fight versus Ballet's number 9 robot. By the way, just like the Mugiwaras are often associated by Oda to a number representing the order they entered the crew, maybe the Demon Heir's number 9 could be related to him being the 9th member who joined the Roger Pirates. In any case, overall this trailer gives the impression this movie, just like all the previous 3 Oda supervisioned, is something truly worthy to be seen. And so, waiting for its release in the theaters, that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching, don't forget to leave a like, and if you want, watch also these other One Piece videos by the next Pirate King. See you next time then, Jane.